and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Society. We are grateful to gather on this beautiful morning, both in person and online, for a time of inspiration, reflection, and connection. Whether you join us today with joy in your heart, weighted with burdens, or searching for meaningful connections, we are glad that you are here. I'm the Reverend Diana Smith, the minister of the Unitarian Universalist Society. My pronouns are she and her. I'm a somewhat tall white woman in my mid-40s with short, curly, white and brown hair, blue glasses, a black suit, and a very colorful stole with hands on it. I'm standing in UUS's pulpit in the front of our sanctuary, which continues to fill with people of all ages. Through the window walls of our sanctuary, we connect with the outdoors, where it is a warmer January day with melting and grayness. As we gather, we give thanks for this land and all who have cared for it over the centuries, particularly the Kickapoo, the Iowa, the Sauk, and Meskwaki, and the Oceti-Sakowin nations. As people of many ages, genders, races, sexual orientations, classes, abilities, and health statuses, we know how important it is to come together as a radically welcoming spiritual community. And as Unitarian Universalists, our faith expresses our core value of love through how we agree to be together and to support each other. We're guided by the shared principles, sources, and values of our living religious tradition. And this morning, we'll be continuing to celebrate our value of liberating love as we explore the power and potential of the language we use, especially our names and those little yet immensely powerful things called pronouns. If you're newer to our congregation, we invite you to learn more about us after the service. If you're here in person, you can talk to a greeter in the atrium. And for those who are online, there's a link to a visitor form in the YouTube show notes that will help us connect with you. And so as we begin, our call to worship comes to us from the songwriter Amanda Udis Kessler, who wrote a song with these lyrics about coming to know ourselves and each other and honoring the truth of who we each are, even if that challenges society's expectations. She writes, "Call me by my name, know me in my truth, trust the sacred flame that burns in me and you. Listen to my song, I'm gentle and I'm strong. With a love I can't contain, won't you call me by my name? Tell me who you are, let your truth be known, cast away your fear, for you are not alone. Share your hopes and your dreams, together we'll be free. To rejoice with all our hearts, won't you tell me who you are?" As we come to learn the gifts we each can give, we offer up in turn a better way to live. The stories that we share will show us how to care. You can help me do my part when you tell me who you are. You can fill the world with grace when you call me by my name. And so now let's join our voices in song. As we sing together, How Could Anyone, a favorite of many of our youths and our youth cons. Please rise in body or in spirit.
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful?
I am Bren Lindley, Worship Associate. I am short. I am female presenting with long brown and gray hair. I have a red shirt, a bow tie, and gray pants. As Unitarian Universalists, we light a flame within a chalice as a symbol of sanctuary and safety to unite us in our worship and to remind us of our ongoing search for the light of truth. Please join me in saying our chalice lighting words as Dara lights our chalice. Life is a gift for which we are grateful. Gather in community to celebrate the wonder and mystery of this great gift. So let us now kindle the flame of our liberal religious heritage and renew our covenant of mutual love and care. Love is our doctrine, the quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, seek knowledge in freedom, and to serve those we need, this we promise, this we covenant, with life and one another. Each week, we light a candle for justice and healing to acknowledge our interdependence with the natural world and with all members of the global community, especially the most vulnerable. We light this candle so that we may not be numbed to injustice and trauma, but rather find strength, courage, and love as we work in solidarity with others for liberation, justice, and healing. Together, we create resilience and hope. Today, as we light this candle, we're particularly mindful of the Chico Mendez reforestation project in Guatemala, which the UUS has supported over the years, and the loss of 20 to 25,000 trees in a fire. There will be a fundraising lunch on February 11th that you will get more information about. As I light this candle, let's hold a time of silence to listen to our hearts and bodies, or perhaps to lift up prayers. Okay, can you hear me? I actually can't hear you. Can you hear me? No, you cannot? A little bit? There. It feels good to be yourself. A book about gender identity. Can you hear me too much now? Okay. Oh, wait. I don't know if that helped. Are we solid? No. So do you know what clouds put on after they take a shower? Thunder pants. All right, I feel like I'm still echoing for you. What shall I do? Just go? Just go. I should just go. This is Ruthie. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to hurt their faces. Yeah. Yep.
Switch it off.
Let's turn. All right. Is that? No. Yes?
Oh, so Russ, this is my mic now. This is my mic.
Yes, that would be delightful.
Just gonna turn that down.
Thank you. Okay.
I don't know if that'll help.
It would probably. Oh, there. Hey, here I am. Lovely to see all of you. All right. She's a transgender girl, Ruthie. That means when she was born, everyone thought she was a boy until she grew a little older and enough to tell everyone she's actually a girl. Girl is Ruthie's preferred gender. This is Ruthie's brother, Xavier. Xavier is a cisgender boy. That means when Xavier was born, everyone thought he was a boy, and as he grew older, it turned out everyone was right. He is a boy. Boy is Xavier's gender identity. There are so many different ways to be a boy or a girl, too many to fit in a book. But not everyone feels like either a boy or a girl. Non-binary is a helpful word that can describe a kid who doesn't feel exactly like a boy or a girl. This is Ruthie's friend Alex. Alex is both a boy and a girl. When Alex was born, everyone thought Alex was a girl, but Alex is both boy and girl. This is Alex's gender identity. This is Alex's friend JJ. JJ is neither a boy nor a girl. Ever since JJ was very little, me too? Ever since JJ was very little, they never felt exactly like a boy or a girl. They just felt like themselves. This is JJ's gender identity. Alex and JJ are both non-binary. Just like there are many different ways to be a boy or a girl, there are many different ways to be non-binary. Too many to fit in a book. And even with all these possible ways to be, some kids don't feel like any of the words fit them exactly right. There are a never-ending number of words to be yourself. You might feel like a boy, you might feel like a girl, you might feel like both a boy and girl, or like neither. You might feel like your gender changes from day to day or from year to year. You might feel that none of these words describes you perfectly. You might not be sure yet. Maybe you're still figuring it out. Your feelings about your gender are real. Listen to your heart. No matter your gender identity, you're okay exactly the way you are, and you are loved. It feels good to be yourself, doesn't it?
Okay, so Bryn shared with us one of her favorite books about gender identity, and, And now I am going to share a book with you about, as soon as I get my mic arranged, you know, when we have tech issues, sometimes we got to do a little bit of workarounds. We're all good. Thank you, tech team, by the way, for bearing with us. Okay. All right. So Bryn shared a story about gender identity and about different gender identities that kids have, and this is a story about a little crayon. Those of you who are out there, if you want to come in, to look at the pictures more closely, you can, or you can stay where you are. And I know some of you know this book very well. One of you even read it to me. He was red. But he wasn't very good at it. Oh dear, says Olive. His teacher thought that he needed more practice. Scarlett says, I'll draw a red strawberry, then you draw a red strawberry. You can do this. Really, I believe in you. But he couldn't really. There are Scarlett's red strawberries, and there are Red's blue strawberries. Scarlett says, oh my, well, let's try again. His mother thought that he needed to mix with the other colors. Olive says, why don't you two go out and draw a nice round orange? Yellow says, a really big one. Red says, a really orange one. But what do you think they made? A nice orange? Oh no, but they made a big greenish one. Yuck, says Yellow. Oops, says Red. His grandparents thought he wasn't warm enough. Silver says, your class in making self-portraits for parents night we wear this warm red scarf. Gray says, nice, it's so you. But it wasn't. These are pictures everyone made, and there's Red's. Oh, dear me. Everyone seemed to have something to say. Amber says, sometimes I wonder if he's really red at all. Hazelnut says, don't be silly. It says red on his label. Cocoa Bean said, he came that way from the factory. Fuchsia says, frankly, I don't think he's very bright. Grape says, well, I think he's lazy. Army Green says, well, right, he's got to press on harder. Steel Gray says, really apply himself. Sunshine says, give him time, he'll catch on. And Sea Green says, of course he will. But he didn't catch on. Green frog, black sheep, brown cow, red ack. All the art supplies wanted to help. The masking tape thought he was broken inside. This will hold you together. The scissors thought his label was too tight. One snip should do it. I thought he wasn't sharp enough. Stay still now. But even with all our help, all his hard work, he just couldn't get the hang of it. One day, he met a new friend. Barry says, will you make a blue ocean for me? I can't. I'm red. Will you try? So he did. Thank you. It's perfect. You're welcome. It was easy. And he didn't stop there. He made bluebells and blue jeans and a bluebird and blueberries and a blue whale and yelled, I'm blue. He was blue. He was blue, and everyone was talking. Olive says, my son is brilliant. Amber says, who could have known he was blue? Hazelnut says, I always said he was blue. Cocoa Bean says, it was obvious. Barry says, his blue ocean really lifted me. Sea Green says, all of his work makes me happy. Brown says, his blue strawberries are my favorite. Apple Green said, he's intense. Yellow said, I'm going to make a green lizard with him, a really big one. Gray said, I hear he's working on a huge new project. And Scarlet said, he's really reaching for the sky. Aww. And he really was. And that is our story. Now, we are going to invite children and youth who'd like to head out to our religious education classes. And Dara, are you lighting the lantern with Leah's help? Okay. And Emily will lead us in singing.
Take with you the flame from our chalice. Take with you the light and the hope. Take with you the blessings and love. Explore our faith and grow. Take this flame as you go. Take with you the flame from our chalice. Take with you the light and the hope. Take with you the blessings and love. Explore our faith and grow. Take this flame as you go.
And now I would like to invite up Don Marshall to share a reflection.
Good morning. My name is Dawn Marshall. My honorific is Mix, MX, period, not Ms. or Mrs. And my pronouns are she, her, or they, them. I am wearing an olive green dress with a black sweater. I have very short, basically gray hair. And I am not a small woman. I want to ask you to think about something this morning. Have you ever noticed that we have more ease with some names and honorifics and pronoun changes than others? For example, think about when a family member, a friend, a coworker, someone you know gets married, perhaps over a weekend. One day, they're using one name, and then just a day later, they're using another name. They may excitedly tell us their new name. Perhaps they feel joy because they are embracing a new identity, or they find their new name fits who they are becoming, or who they've felt they've been for a long time. Perhaps they feel pride because they have put effort into the choice to take a new name. They've practiced it. Maybe they've even filled out forms and paid fees so people will know them by this name. Being called by their name is affirming and signals care and respect from the people around them. Almost everyone immediately embraces their new name, their new identity. We celebrate it, we buy gifts, we write notes and cards, we dress up, we attend ceremonies. Yet, I often wonder why sometimes we have so much difficulty adapting to new names and pronouns prompted by other life transitions. Would we ever insist on calling somebody by their old name if they got married? I mean, would we really do that? Do we need to throw a party and eat cake and dance every time someone tells us who they are and asks us to call them by a new name, honorific, or pronoun? Would this help us change our speech, update our address books and our contact lists? If so, I'll bring cheese dip. Thank you.
So what are you called? Daughter, son, child, offspring? Sibling, sister, or brother? Dad, mom, baba, zaza, mama, papa, or parent? Niece, nephew, nibbling? Cousin? Uncle, auntie, aunt, or BB? Friend, family, godparent? Or perhaps even in those relationships simply by your name? What we're called, by whom, and how tells us a lot about who we are in relationship with, and how we move in the world. It tells us a lot about love and interdependence, as well as affirming who we are. And interestingly, it varies a lot amongst cultures, including here in the US. For example, I'm aunt, auntie, or simply Diana, depending on the ethnicities, national origins, or queerness of the various people who make up parts of my family and framily. I have slightly different names with different people, even as I remain wholly me with each of them. And these choices made by us together tells me and my communities things about who I am and how I'm connected in this world. There is a lot that language tells us about who we are and how we are seen in the world. And there are a lot of cultural expectations, some spoken and many, many more unspoken, that go along with how we are perceived by the world, by the subcultures we're part of, and the places we live. What we're called, who we are, and how that changes over time deeply affects and is affected by this. And one of the fascinating pieces of this is the possibilities that language holds, as well as how language changes over time. Now, some languages are better at holding multiple identities, including for various identities and the singular non-binary, than others. The Latin roots of Romance languages are steeped in the gender binary, which can affect things like how we understand and relate to things as simple as a table and a tree. And if you're familiar with other Romance languages, you may be thinking of their gender right now. Or things as complex as God, if we strip away the gender expansive aspects and constantly apply genders to them. But the indigenous languages that the Romans encountered across Europe almost always had much more expansive, less binary understandings of gender and the world. These were carried between places, creeping into European languages and affecting how people could talk about the world, and thus the ways people understood the world. For example, it's now understood that the Vikings brought the singular they, them to English, Old Norse shaping Old English, and on up through today, giving us ways to talk about ourselves and each other that are not so binary, so constrained. And I hope you notice that English accepted that change so many centuries ago because people needed that change. They needed the ways of talking about themselves that they, them, gave them. Language doesn't change just because someone introduces an idea. It changes because we need that idea so that we can be more complete. Much later on, after patriarchy and imperialism had shaped English into referring to humans as male, our transforming culture, which was recognizing the importance of saying that women and children had rights, got us to work on changing that and starting to use he or she. And more recently still, our developing and expanding understandings of gender has caused us to work on more changes too. When we need to find new words to talk about our changing understanding of the world, sometimes we create something new, and sometimes we look to history. Language can and does change with our cultural needs by honoring the past, by creating new things, and by repurposing old things. Sometimes language follows cultural changes, and sometimes culture is changed by language. And often these things play back and forth in a dance. Certainly the ways that we're expected to be in the world, how we dress, how we move, how we talk, who we talk with and interact with, are deeply shaped by how the world understands and talks about our gender. I have certainly experienced these in my life. Have you? These expectations of how we should be in the world based on our gender change with culture and geography, but wanting and working for more expansive possibilities that allow us to be ourselves is powerful wherever we are. It is part of the story of liberating love. It is deeply powerful and important to be called who we are by our communities, to have who we are affirmed. It changes who we are called to be, it changes who we are to be called by our names, our pronouns, our relational terms. And it changes our communities to listen for what each of the individuals who are part of it are called, to honor and respect that, and to create ways of being that respond to change. It is part of creating beloved community. And so, as we continue to move and shape change in the world, may we continue to get to know ourselves and each other for who we are. In all of our beauty and strengths and foibles, may we continue to shape community that can hold and love diversity. And may we carry that into all the parts of our lives. May we learn to call ourselves by our own true names and linguistic terms, May we respond with love, welcome, and joy to being told the true names and terms of others. And may we help create such communities. So may it be. Amen. Blessed be.
Choice by Alex Capitan. I want to talk about choice. I want to talk about the fact that just because someone who is out to destroy you says you chose to be the way you are does not mean the path of best protection is to counter with, no, I didn't. It's not a choice. I was born this way. I've always been this way. Is who I am, my sexuality, my gender, a deep and real part of me? Close to my soul? Yes. Are there choices involved? Of course there are. I have made one choice after another to feel more at ease, more vibrant, more alive. I chose to change my name. I chose to allow myself to open to the idea that I might be attracted to women. I chose to open myself to the idea that, first of all, genderqueer people exist. Second, that I might be one. And third, that I might be attracted to other genderqueer folks. After all this, I chose to remain open to the idea that I was still attracted to men and might actually like being in a relationship with one. If I hadn't made these choices, I never could have lived into my full, authentic self. And you know, there are some things that are more attractive to me than gender. I am attracted to feminists. I am attracted to queer people and radicals. I am attracted to people who are assertive and like to make decisions. Is any of this biologically hardwired into me? Probably not. Is all of it impacted by culture? Definitely. But do I have every right to pursue relationships and experiences with whoever I want because it's my body and my sexuality? Yes. It doesn't matter who I seek intimacy, ecstasy, joy, or camaraderie with. Sexuality is sacred. Love is sacred, and I deserve and demand the right to full control over my body and what I do with it and who I share it with. So if anyone ever tries to invalidate you or the way you seek intimacy by saying it's just a choice, tell them choice is sacred. Tell them the inherent right of every person to have full authority and agency over choices they make about their lives and their bodies is a spiritual and human imperative. That there is a word for this, and it's liberation. That there is nothing more worth fighting for. Tell them that in your faith tradition, we don't love people despite their differences or because they can't help being different. We love people because of their differences and because diversity enriches our world and our communities. Tell them that in the final reckoning, there is only one choice that will be judged, and that's their choice. Tell them you hope they choose love.
Thank you, Bryn. As we move into our time of joys and sorrows, I'm sad that as we begin this, I need to share some news with you. Many of you have seen an email from me that longtime member Jerry Nordquist died on Friday. Plans for a remembrance service in honor of Jerry's life will be shared at a later date. May his memory be a blessing. In addition, I'm sorry to tell you that this congregation's former minister, Reverend Stephen Protzman, was diagnosed with colon cancer in early December. He's just begun medical leave from his congregation to undergo treatment. Tests indicate that the cancer is at an early stage, which means a good outcome is likely. If you would like to send Reverend Stephen a note expressing your care and support, I'll be collecting emails and cards through the first week of February, and there are cards in the fellowship hall for you to sign if you'd like to. Stephen is happy to be held in thoughts and prayers. And now, Bryn, will you lead us into joys and sorrows?
nurturing gratitude and how we understand and express interdependence as part of how we live into our Unitarian Universalist faith. As we I'm going to keep talking. As we enter into our time of meditation, contemplation, and prayer, we acknowledge the joys and sorrows of our congregation. We do this by dropping stones into a bowl of water, symbolically immersing our personal joys and sorrows into the flow of all life's joys and sorrows. The water surrounds and holds the stone, just as we are surrounded and held by the love and support of this congregation. If you're participating in our service elsewhere, you may wish to meditatively hold a stone, wash your hands, or meditate on an object near you. And now, if you're in the sanctuary, please come forward, take a stone from the basket, and place your stone in the water as we sing together.
And sorrows. And this is actually the perfect opportunity while they get ready. You can't do anything anyway. You have to learn this new song. Can you give me a C chord? It's called Shine on Me, and it's by a UU spiritual composer named Melanie DeMore. If you're familiar with her, she does a lot of justice choir work. But it goes like this. It's really simple. It goes, shine on me. Oh, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me. Feel free to sing along. Shine on me. Oh, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me. Great. And then the lyrics change. It says, lift me up, oh, lift me up. Let the light from the lighthouse lift me up. And then hold me close. Yes, hold me close. Let the light from the lighthouse hold me close. And then we'll just go through those verses as long as it takes us to get through joys and sorrows. And Melanie DeMore especially loves it when people add harmonies. Anyone out there feels like they're singing it wrong, you're probably singing it right. Yeah? Okay, here we go. Shine on me, yes, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me, yes, shine on me, yes, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me. Lift me up, oh, lift me up. Let the light from the lighthouse lift me up, oh, lift me up, oh, lift me up. Let the light from the lighthouse lift me up. Hold me close. Hold me close. Yes, hold me close. Let the light from the lighthouse hold me close. Yes, hold me close. Yes, hold me close. Let the light from the lighthouse hold me close. Thank you. Good job.
I invite you into a spirit of meditation, contemplation, and prayer with these words from Alex Capitan. Spirit of universe, life force that flows through all beings, power beyond our knowing. We ask you to help us see beyond our dependence on opposites, to transcend our desire to know who is like us and who is not. Open us to the knowledge that in this room, there are complexities and diversities of identities beyond black and white, old and young, woman and man, poor and rich, uneducated and educated, disabled and able-bodied, gay and straight, ill and healthy, wrong and right, broken and whole. In this room, there are people who embody juxtapositions, who can tell stories written on their bodies about both and neither, who carry intimate pieces of the truth that there is no such thing as opposites. Spirit of many names, and no name at all, help us find release from our belief that all things must be either or, this belief that walls us off from one another, ensnaring us in a battle of same versus different. Help us to open our minds, to listen deeply, and to truly know one another, finally glimpsing the kaleidoscopic beauty of the divine. Spirit of love, help us hold each other close and tenderly, listening and opening, and finding liberating love in this journey. Amen. Blessed, blessed be. And now I'd like to invite up Trustee Diana Henry to share with us her experience of trans inclusion in congregations. This is the next class, if you can say that at the end.
Good morning. I want to briefly share a few takeaways from attending the Transforming Hearts collective webinars. It helped me better understand gender diversity, and as a spiritual practice, accept discomfort and not fear it or the conflict. As mentioned in one of the sessions, conflict fuels transformation. Because I want to engage authentically with differences, I understand that disagreements and conflict will occur. If I see that as bad, I can never take advantage of opportunities for transformation. This process is needed for me and this congregation to genuinely welcoming trans community. In addition, by attending this course, I learned that Reverend Stephanie Speller developed a model incorporating 3 types of welcome. One is an invitation, it's called invitation. That is really about having an open door. The goal is really to assimilate trans people into a like-minded community. However, the effort is more generic. It's a more generic type of welcoming, using welcoming statements and usually assigning a person to that job of welcoming, and that person is not always a warm person. The second type is called inclusion. It is a desire for diversity, but without fundamental cultural shift. In such cases, the congregation will make surface level changes for trans people. For example, called all gender restrooms and our pronouns or name tags, but no significant change in worship, religious education, pastoral care, etc. Now, the third is radical welcome. The message is, quote, "We are people of many genders and sexualities. Gender diversity is sacred," end quote. It means centering different ways of understanding Unitarian Universalism and allowing for multiple perspectives on building relationships, thereby creating opportunities for people to develop deep relationships with each other across the strata of congregational culture. Please consider the following. Where does this congregation fit in this model? How does it plan to get there? Finally, our congregation can provide leadership by bringing folks from the margins to the center, having deeper conversation as groups, not as individuals, offering listening circles, and having quarterly dinner programs where all aspects of congregational life can come together and discuss what shared power can mean. A culture shift happens when folks engage in community together. On Sunday, February 18th, March the 24th, 11:30 through 1 o'clock, UUS RE Wing contact Don Marshall as the Marshall Cheney at.
Yeah, so
okay.
these are for the next trans inclusion in congregations.
Okay.
Don Marshall Cheney at the email addresses in the bibliography.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. I'll just follow up. Thank you so much, Diana. We didn't have the dates for the next trans inclusion in congregations by the time everything was printed, and I asked Diana to share that our next trans inclusion in congregations, which she was speaking about, will be offered from February 18th to March 24th from 11:30 to 1 at UUS, and you can contact Don Marshall or Marcia Cheney, whose email addresses are in the bibliography for the service. Thank you, Diana. Ernie, would you like to come up? And while Ernie comes up, I will also share that the folks you're hearing from today are part of our Radical Welcome team and are some of the facilitators for trans inclusion in congregations as well. Thank you, Ernie.
Good morning. I'm Ernie Cox. My pronouns are he and him. What are some simple practices each of us can do to create more inclusive places, events, and interactions? How can we alter our habits and customs to expand the possibility for people to live out their journeys? I'd like to suggest a few changes that might resonate with my fellow Unitarians. The book that Brent shared with us today, I'm sure many of you have followed what's been happening with legislation affecting schools. That book cannot be used in elementary schools right now. It would be illegal for us to share that book with students. So I would suggest if you're in the habit of buying books, buying some of these titles that are being targeted by our administration in Des Moines. Buying a rainbow collection of books will counteract the attempted erasure of these stories. Give them as gifts, leave them on park benches, or maybe ship a few to the governor. Do you want some good news today? I can give you a little bit of bright news on this front. The Senate file 496 that was signed into law in May of 2023, that is the law that, among numerous things, makes it illegal for us to use LGBTQ plus books with our students. There have been a couple lawsuits that have been filed recently, and Iowa City Schools are a defendant in those. Thanks to those lawsuits, an injunction is in place, and we have been able to return those books to our classrooms and our libraries in the Iowa City School District during this. Yes, yeah. There are other portions of that law that are still in place, and it makes it really difficult for us to acknowledge students that may have different gender identities or other names that they want to use. I can't give you people's names that are parties to those lawsuits if you want to reach out to them and thank them. Maybe you have an upcoming opportunity to speak in front of a crowd, introducing yourself to someone new or just recording a video. You can begin these interactions by using your pronouns. You might have to practice this a few times. Many of us haven't done that our entire lives. But this simple change to your introduction creates a space for other people to do the same. It's a signal that you understand more than the binary. If you have the joy of parenting a tween or teen, have you taken time to learn more about their social media use? The psychologist Lisa DeMoore recommends taking time to learn more about the themes and content young people are seeing on Instagram, TikTok, and more. Unfortunately, research is finding that the amount of anti-trans and homophobic content on these networks is on the rise. But rather than shutting out social media, let's take time to learn about how our kids or our grandkids are using it. If the themes you see are not inclusive, it's another teaching opportunity. And on the work front, there are many simple actions toward inclusion. Include your pronouns on email signature lines, name badges, and signage. The Society for Human Resource Management offers several ways to make workplaces more inclusive, including options for preferred names and pronouns instead of or in addition to legal names on official company documents, such as applications, benefit forms, and websites. Establishing the norm that people in an organization will use and acknowledge preferred pronouns creates a workplace that is welcoming and supportive of all employees. I would encourage you to continue to be politically engaged. I know I don't have to encourage this crowd much to do that, but there are upwards of a dozen additional bills being considered that will affect education in the coming school year. Many of them, I think I would ask you to look and see, do you think it's going to continue to make our schools inclusive and welcoming to all of our families and our students and our staff, or it will go in a different direction? There's one to require daily singing of the national anthem. We could talk about that. There's one that would require character trait education that would be given to us by the State Department of Education. There's one that would allow schools to hire chaplains and ministers as counselors without any state certification. Now, I wonder if those folks will be Unitarian Universalist ministers or someone else. So I have a lot of thoughts. I welcome talking with you about those at coffee. But all of these small practices that I've talked about are ways that we can lead to big changes in our community.
How we give What we do with our lives, our time, and our resources is a reflection of our values. In response to the abundance we are blessed with, every week this congregation donates generously to organizations in the community whose work aligns with our values and principles. Our community partner agency this month is the South District Neighborhood Association of Iowa City. This nonprofit organization sponsors the Diversity Market, among other community events. The market, held in the Pepperwood Plaza during the summer months, empowers minority entrepreneurs, including women, youth, and those in the Black, Indigenous, Latino, Asian, and LGBTQ+, refugee, immigrant, and returning citizen communities. In the sanctuary, the ushers will collect the offering, or you can follow the instructions on the screen for how to give online. All cash contributions go directly to our community partner agency. In addition to assisting our community partner, you may contribute towards your pledge to our society or contribute to the congregation to provide additional support for our operating expenses. You may also contribute by check, using the memo line to designate the purpose. The offering is a sign of commitment to this free congregation, which is completely supported by the generosity of all who join with us. As we give and receive the offering, may we be transformed by our giving, and may the world be transformed by our gifts. Been shared today help us more fully affirm our interconnection and live into love and justice. Immediately after the service, we gather in the fellowship hall and outside for conversation and community. And now, to close our service today, we will sing Rainbow Connection.
The Rainbow Connection.
Please rise in body or spirit as you are able.
Hope you're familiar with this song. Yeah, song, yes. Why are there so many songs about rainbows? What's on the other side? Rainbows are visions, but only illusions, and rainbows have nothing to hide. So Is this the sweet sound that calls the young sailors? The voice might be one and the same. I've heard it too many times to ignore it. It's something that I'm supposed to be. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. La, 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 la,
Please join me in the words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. All these we carry in our hearts and in our minds until we are together again.
If you are working on understanding who you are, may you go forth, leaning into your growing understanding. May you go loving yourself. And may all of us go creating, making the choice to create communities and a world that can affirm each of us for who we are, where we are called by our true names and celebrated for who we are, for our rainbow connections. Go in peace, love, and justice, living love ever more fully and fiercely into this world. Amen. Blessed, blessed be.